Ryan always thought he had it all figured out. Steady job, loyal heart, and a love he could count on. That was until one offhand comment from Jessica, dripping with smugness, sliced through everything he believed about their 3-year relationship. "You're not even in Tyler's league. You already lost." Those words didn't just sting. They detonated a quiet truth he had been avoiding. He wasn't her priority. He was her safety net. Ryan met Jessica at a mutual friend's rooftop party in Chicago. He was a software engineer. She was a marketing specialist, both grinding through entry-level chaos in a city that never slowed down. Jessica's laugh lit up rooms, her energy magnetic. Ryan was the reliable type. Organized, thoughtful, steady. It was exactly what he thought she wanted. He fell fast, head over heels, pouring his energy into a relationship that felt real, solid, and promising. The first year was a whirlwind of supportive gestures and quiet victories. When Jessica got laid off from her marketing agency, Ryan picked up extra hours, fixed their budget, and spent evenings editing her resume. He celebrated her victories like his own, from landing interviews to finally securing a role in a trendy downtown startup. When the promotion came with relocation to a loft 2 hours away, Ryan didn't hesitate. He requested a transfer, packed their apartment, and followed her without a second thought. Friends warned him about leaving his city ties, but he shrugged. Love felt worth it. Small gestures became his signature. Surprise takeout after her brutal interviews, bubble baths set up just right, leaving his friends' bachelor parties to stay home with her when she was stressed. He even postponed his certification course, one that could have catapulted his career, because time with her felt more important. He imagined a quiet proposal on a weekend getaway, convinced that all the sacrifices were paving a path to forever. But cracks appeared, subtle at first. Jessica had a habit of name-dropping Tyler, her college ex. "Tyler used to take me on road trips," she'd say casually, almost like an afterthought. Ryan laughed it off, pretending it didn't bother him, chalking it up to nostalgia. Tyler was the adrenaline guy. Tattoos, motorcycles, constant thrill. He had cheated and flaked during their relationship, but Jessica painted him larger than life, leaving Ryan feeling invisible in comparison. As months passed, Tyler's shadow grew. Arguments turned into veiled competitions. A simple plan for dinner could trigger a comparison. "You're so predictable. Tyler would have surprised me with tickets to that show." Budget talks became tests of worth. Why worry about pennies? Tyler wouldn't. Ryan's efforts escalated, but nothing was ever enough. Emotional distance crept in. Jessica started staying late at work events, giggling at phone messages. Ryan glimpsed texts from Tyler. Just old friends catching up, she assured him. But he felt the subtle betrayal gnawing at his chest. And then came the night that ended everything. A trivial argument, dry cleaning, dinner plans, erupted. Jessica, eyes cold and voice sharp, delivered the line that would change his life forever. "You're not even in Tyler's league. You already lost." It wasn't just the smugness. It was the calm dismissal of all his sacrifices, his loyalty, his love. Ryan didn't yell. He didn't beg. He packed a bag methodically, as if preparing for a business trip. When she asked what he was doing, he said softly, "Letting the winner have you." She broke down, tears streaming, trying to backpedal, claiming she didn't mean it. But the decision was made. Ryan walked out that night, and in the quiet of a cheap hotel, he felt the first sparks of freedom. The first week after Ryan left, Jessica was surreal. Chicago's skyline blurred past his rented Uber window as he drove to a cheap hotel on the outskirts of the city. The room smelled faintly of bleach, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and the thin walls let every creak from the hallway echo like a reminder of what he had lost. Or rather, what he had been giving away for years. He unpacked only the essentials. Laptop, chargers, a few clothes. Everything else stayed behind, including the illusions of forever he had built around her. He tried not to think about the texts he had left unanswered. "Please, I need you. I know I hurt you, but let's fix this." Messages from unknown numbers, from friends, even her family. Ryan blocked them all. No explanations, no arguments. Just silence. The world felt heavy, yet lighter at the same time. It was freedom wrapped in guilt and confusion. For the first time in years, he slept without anticipating her reactions, without a creeping dread of comparison to Tyler. Meanwhile, Jessica's life started spiraling almost immediately. She had reconnected with Tyler, just as she'd hinted she would during fights. Photos surfaced on social media, cocktails at rooftop bars, goofy selfies, captioned, "Rediscovering Old Flames." Friends messaged Ryan almost apologetically, hinting at Tyler's instability. Jealous fits, missing days, confrontations over nothing. Ryan stayed out of it, a detached observer. The chaos he had avoided now engulfed her. And while she had chased thrill, he began to reclaim stability. Ryan focused on himself. The gym became a sanctuary, long runs through Lincoln Park clearing his head. He finally enrolled in the certification course he had postponed, acing every module with a quiet satisfaction. Old friends, the ones he'd neglected for Jessica, became anchors again. Dinner plans, casual beers, even weekend road trips with buddies brought a sense of groundedness he hadn't felt in years. He found himself laughing without the background static of tension or comparison. Jessica tried creeping back into his life subtly. First, a text from a blocked number. "Ryan, please just talk." "I messed up." Deleted. Then calls from her sister, pleading, "She's a mess. You have to help." Ryan remained firm. Boundaries weren't just protection. They were his reclamation of self. When she finally showed up at his old neighborhood coffee shop, disheveled and pleading, he didn't entertain the drama. Her eyes were red, voice shaky. "Ryan Tyler, it's falling apart. I need you. I see now what I threw away." He simply reminded her of the comment that had ended everything. "You said I already lost." That moment is the line. "You're irrelevant to my future." Meanwhile, Tyler's true colors emerged quickly. Friends reported arguments, smashed phones, erratic behavior. Jessica's social circle began to distance themselves, recognizing the same instability Ryan had seen all along. Her promotion at the startup stalled. Distracted by drama, she missed deadlines and lost respect among colleagues. Ryan watched, unbothered. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. Life had a strange way of balancing itself when you stopped fighting to justify someone else's choices. During this time, Ryan also met Sarah at a networking event. She was intelligent, grounded, and drama-free, a stark contrast to the whirlwind he had endured with Jessica. Their conversations flowed naturally. Hiking trails, shared love of sci-fi, subtle humor that didn't cut. Ryan realized how exhausting it had been to constantly measure himself against someone's past. With Sarah, he didn't have to. There was no comparison, no shadow lurking in the corners of every compliment or plan. It was refreshing, stabilizing, and something he hadn't realized he was missing until he experienced it. The first few months were about reclaiming autonomy. Ryan reconnected with hobbies abandoned for Jessica, took solo weekend trips, and allowed himself the rare luxury of just existing without fear or expectation. Each day, he felt the grip of past manipulation loosen. He journaled, documenting the moments of clarity. "Today, I didn't think about Tyler once," or "I laughed with friends without guilt." Therapy helped him unpack the subtle erosion of confidence he had endured piece by piece. What he had once viewed as loyalty to Jessica now felt like survival from a relationship built on comparison and manipulation. And yet, the attempts to drag him back didn't stop. Jessica, desperate, escalated from texts to showing up in person, even involving family members in pleas. Each approach was met with unwavering boundaries. Ryan had learned that no apology, no tearful explanation, no recounting of Tyler's failures could erase years of being made to feel inadequate. Power had shifted. He was no longer the one desperate for approval or affection. He was the observer now, calm, stable, untouchable in his new equilibrium. Ryan's transformation was subtle yet profound. Chicago, once a city of compromises and anxious nights, became a landscape of potential. New job responsibilities, a growing social circle, and an emerging confidence in his professional and personal life marked a stark contrast to the shadowy, comparison-laden existence with Jessica. He was not just surviving, he was thriving. The real tension, the suspense that had been gnawing at him for years, had lifted. And for the first time, he felt untethered, free to pursue the life he deserved. Weeks after leaving Jessica, Ryan had settled into a rhythm that felt almost luxurious. The chaos of constant comparison and manipulation was gone. His mornings began with sunlight spilling across his new apartment, coffee brewed just right, and a quiet that had been impossible before. Therapy, old friends, and his certification course became anchors. He was finally reclaiming his life on his own terms. Jessica, however, refused to accept reality. Her attempts to contact him escalated, though now Ryan observed from a distance. One afternoon, she appeared at his door, disheveled and desperate. "Ryan, Tyler. He's falling apart. I was wrong. I see now what I threw away." He listened calmly, leaning on the doorframe. "You already lost," he said, the words steady and unshakable. The statement was his boundary, a mirror of the very line she had crossed months ago. Her desperation peaked at a mutual friend's rooftop birthday party. Jessica confronted him in front of everyone. "I was wrong. Tyler was abusive. You were right. Please, let's start over." Ryan's response was simple, quiet, and decisive. He gestured toward Sarah and the city skyline. "You already lost. This is my life now." No argument, no justification, just clarity. The weight of months of manipulation and comparison dissolved into that moment of firm resolve. Tyler's instability became evident through mutual friends. Arguments, jealousy, erratic disappearances. Jessica's social and professional life faltered. Missed deadlines, strained friendships, and family tension revealed the consequences of the chaos she had chosen over stability. Ryan remained unentangled, observing but no longer drawn in. There was no gloating, only quiet acknowledgement that life had a way of balancing itself. Through therapy, Ryan unpacked the subtle erosion of his confidence, gaslighting, constant comparisons, and emotional manipulation. Each session reinforced that leaving Jessica wasn't defeat, it was liberation. He had stepped out of a life measured by someone else's past and into one defined by his own choices. Sarah, stable and grounded, remained a partner, not a mirror for old traumas. Together they explored the city, laughed easily, and built a connection untainted by comparison or manipulation. The remaining attempts by Jessica, texts, calls, sudden appearances, were inconsequential. Ryan had built walls not from anger, but from love for himself. The suspense, the anxiety, the uncertainty that had consumed him for years was gone. He had reclaimed his autonomy, his sense of worth, and his peace. The story of the past, the smug comment, the comparisons, the manipulation, had become a benchmark, a reminder of the life he refused to return to. By the end of these months, Ryan's world had transformed. Career advancement, personal growth, and authentic relationships marked a stark contrast to the shadow-filled existence he had endured. The suspense was resolved, the tension lifted. He no longer measured his value by someone else's approval, no longer invested energy into being enough. Ryan had stepped fully into a life defined by his own terms, prepared for whatever the future held. The foundation of his freedom was laid, and nothing from the past could shake it. Months later, Ryan's life had fully transformed. The city no longer felt like a backdrop to tension and comparisons. It was a canvas for opportunity. Mornings began with sunlight streaming through his new apartment, coffee in hand, and a quiet that was once unimaginable. Sarah remained a steady, grounding presence. They explored art exhibits, hiked nearby trails, and shared dinners with the skyline glowing behind them. For the first time in years, Ryan experienced love without testing, comparison, or manipulation. And then, The inevitable encounter. At a friend's rooftop party, Ryan spotted her. Jessica. Her hair messy, makeup smudged, eyes shadowed by exhaustion. Time seemed to slow. She approached hesitantly. "Ryan, Tyler, he was a disaster. I was wrong. Please, let's start over." Ryan felt the old instinct to justify or explain, but it was gone. Calmly, he said what had become his truth. "You already lost." The words were soft, final, and unshakable. No anger, no argument, just closure. She searched for hesitation, but found none. Her chance had passed. Jessica lingered a moment, disbelief and shame crossing her face. Ryan turned to Sarah, to the skyline, to his life. He didn't need to explain or defend. The drama, the manipulation, the comparisons. Irrelevant. She had chased thrill, chaos, and a ghost, and he had stepped into stability, clarity, and authentic connection. Her life, meanwhile, began to unravel. Friends reported arguments, erratic behavior, and her eventual isolation. Career setbacks compounded the collapse. Karma had its way, silent but precise. Ryan focused on growth, fully present in the life he had created. Promotions, projects, and professional recognition reinforced his independence. Sarah and he planned trips, explored new cities, and laughed freely. Each milestone was a reminder that freedom, self-respect, and healthy love were far more rewarding than compromise, comparison, or being a safety net for someone else's drama. He had stepped out of a shadowy past and into a life of his own making. The final encounter became a private benchmark, a story of reclaiming autonomy. The smug comment that had once cut so deep now served as a reminder of strength and liberation. Walking away had not been failure. It had been victory. Standing on the rooftop later, city lights sparkling hand in Sarah's, Ryan felt fully, unapologetically free. The chapter was closed. The past belonged to her. The future, bright, unshakable, and entirely his own, stretched endlessly ahead. No lingering doubts, no shadows of manipulation, just clarity, joy, and the profound satisfaction of winning the most important thing, himself. In that moment, Ryan knew he would never return to darkness. He had upgraded his life, his love, and his future. Jessica's irrelevance was complete. He had stepped fully into a life defined by choice, growth, and freedom.